Things are a lot like Asian children, and failure is heavily frowned upon. So, while the Fist view failure is
I'm Asian, I would know. Yeah, same, man, same. I'm pretty much the black sheep of my family at this point, so I don't give a fuck.
Stand by. Attention on deck!
Now we click the record button and we should be recording. Alright, let's get it. We are going to be watching Imperial Fist lore from Warhammer 40k. My absolute favorite Loyalist Legion. At first, when I first got into Warhammer, it was the Blood Angels. My definitive answer for #1 Loyalist Legion is the Imperial Fist. Y'all can hate me down below in the comments or whatever, but I'm rocking with the fortified boys. Alright. In 3, 2, 1, and boom.
Hi friends, today we're talking about the Imperial Fists.
Hell yeah.
And just like Dorn would have wanted, let's cut to the chase immediately. The Imperial Fists are among the most stalwart protectors of the Imperium. They are honorable, pragmatic, and high willpower and discipline. At the same time, the Fists possess a burning passion and pride that can lead them to glory or death. Many people think that the Fists are bland or outright boring, and I'll be the first to admit I was guilty of this too. But after reading more about them, they're actually...
At first, I thought the Imperial Fists were boring, and it was like, but after learning a little bit more about them, I resonate with them. They're my favorite Loyalist Legion. They just, I understand where they're coming from, you know what I mean?
Very interesting and have a lot beneath their cold exterior. But before we go any further, let me show you a way to reinforce your tummy with a yummy meal. That's right, this video is sponsored by Factor.
I knew it!
Fresh, never frozen meal service, and as a lover of tasty meals, Factor is for real one of my favorite sponsors. All of their meals are super easy to prepare, only taking 2 minutes, and they're real tasty. So throw away those preconceptions you have about microwaves in the trash because these meals are legit. Once again, my favorite was the pork chops. This time it was pork chops with wild rice and broccoli. The pork had a great texture, it was juicy, and the rice had a good flavor. And also, a few months ago, I went on a diet, and Factor's balanced nutrition and flexible meal plans were really quite helpful in ensuring that I stuck to my goals. Every Factor...
Not me eating Hot Pockets in the middle of his ad.
Factor meal is real food with real ingredients, prepared by professional chefs and is dietitian approved. You can choose from a rotating weekly menu of over 100 options to fit whatever diet plan you'd like. So skip the chaotic grocery shopping and expensive fast food options and get yourself a delectable meal delivered straight to your door. So head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code KrakDuk FB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code KrakDuk.
They're doing free breakfast for an entire year now? Okay, I might have to try this then. Because I've never tried Factor before. I've always considered it, but then again, it's like, even doing the math, the price is just not really there. It wasn't really cutting it for me. But hey, 50% off for my first box plus free breakfast for a year? This is... I might try it.
FB50 at Factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. The Imperial Fists are the 7th Legion and source their first Marines from all over Terra. And even from the start, they were known for speaking little, preferring to take action. This was later reinforced when they met with their Primarch Rogel Dorn aboard the legendary starship Phalanx.
The strong and quiet type, you know? I resonate with that. I really do. Even if we're not, we're just gonna go with it. It looks like we're good on my end, so let's continue.
Which we'll talk more about later. And fortunately for them, the Legion reunited with their father pretty quickly into their development, so they were thoroughly molded into Dorn's ideal warriors. Dorn taught his son self-discipline, honor, and retrospection. In addition, he built them up to be masters of both siege and defense, which actually makes a ton of sense if you think about it, since you need knowledge of siege tactics in order to defend well, and vice versa. And their combat specializations is what partly led to their legendary rivalry with the Iron Warriors.
Fuck these guys. Fuck the Iron Warriors. If there's any Iron Warrior fans in chat or in the comment section, you know how I feel.
But, unlike Perturabo, Dorn was actually a relatively good father to his legion and didn't throw bitch fits every time they failed. Rather, Dorn actually taught his sons to use failure to continually improve themselves. But despite their bright armor, it wasn't all sunshine and lollipops, and the Fists don't completely take their failures in stride. These guys are still
Nobody's
Space Marines at
perfect,
the end of the
especially
day,
the
and
Space
they're
Marines.
not wearing participation medals, licking wounds and ice cream cones after losing the weekly Little League match, that's for sure. Marines are a lot like Asian children, and failure is heavily frowned upon. So, while the Fist view failure as
I'm Asian, I would know. Yeah, same, man, same. I'm pretty much the black sheep of my family at this point, so I don't give a fuck.
valuable, they still feel the need to repent for letting their chapter, their father, and the Emperor down. On the surface, it may not seem as such given their aloof and pragmatic exterior, but the Imperial Fist are actually some of the most, if not the most devout Marines in the entire Imperium. Just like Dorn, the Fists see themselves as tools to the Emperor's will. While they aren't exactly spiritually religious, the Imperial Fists are religiously dedicated to their duty and are willing to accept and overcome any challenges that they are given. So for any perceived failure, no matter how small, many of the Imperial Fists will seek penance in order to earn redemption through pain. Their need for penance is an outright obsession and is deeply ingrained in their chapter culture. Most famously, they have a device called the Pain Glove. Despite the funny parallels it would give, the Pain Glove is more akin to a body glove than a regular glove. The Pain Glove fully encases the Marine and artificially stimulates every single pain neuron they have. This inflicts the maximum amount of pain a Marine can feel without actually inflicting any physical damage. And beyond being a form of penance,
So it's emotional pain then? Is like their wives or girlfriends, if they had any, they're just gonna nag them and complain that they don't do enough or something? Like, is that what it basically is?
Fists are fucking insane madmen and actually use this practice as a form of meditation. Some even feeling a spiritual connection to Dorn. Newsflash, asshole. That's not a spiritual connection to Dorn. That's the simulated sensation of ouch. But beyond their obsession with
What's the difference? Genuinely, what's the difference?
pain, the Fists are truly defined by their meticulousness and tenacity. They follow a quote-unquote Junker model of behavior in which they ensure every single detail of their plan is perfectly laid out in order to ensure victory. Additionally, betraying their taciturn exterior, the Imperial Fists are very idealistic. Just like Dorn, they fully buy into the Emperor's vision for humanity and are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve this vision. So, their attention to detail in conjunction with their sheer willpower.
Before we continue, these drawings are absolutely top tier. I don't know if he did it himself, but regardless, they're adorable, yet they're cool. Like, I want some assets or something. Like, I want this on the stream.
Power and idealism is what makes the Fist one of the greatest chapters of the Imperium and one of the most, if not the most, reliable warriors in the galaxy. Just like their Black Templar brothers, the Fist are ready to accept any challenge and then crush it beneath their bright yellow boot. The Fist have an iron resolve and will do whatever it takes to complete their missions. This is why the Emperor chose Dorn to be the Praetorian of Terra and the Fist to be the Defenders of Terra. And in 30K, the Fists were arguably the single most important chapter as they kept the traitors at bay long enough for the Emperor to slay Horus and end the heresy.
This is why the Imperial Fists are my most favorite. This is why. Put everything aside, defend Terra, defend Earth, defend the civilians. Even if you die, continue to defend them. It's like, no Legion is absolutely perfect, but I resonate with the Imperial Fist more than any other.
These madmen literally turned the entire solar system into a grand fortress. Badass. Also, fun fact, their zeal to overcome any challenge is the reason that they're so strictly adherent to the Codex, despite Dorn and Gilliman butting heads post-heresy over the Codex. They see the guidelines and limits set by Gilliman as a challenge, and are arguably more adherent to it than even the Ultramarines at this point. And speaking of at this
Really?
point, in 40K they continue their legacy as heroes of the Imperium. The Fist's primary
course.
tactic is to create a foothold on the battlefield in order to build up a fortification, then they launch relentless attacks to break down their enemies in a brutal siege. For their sieges, the Fist prefer to use big old guns and big old units.
I mean, what else are you gonna use? Flowers? Go big or go home.
They utilize a disproportionate amount of Devastator squads, Terminator squads, and the Primaris equivalents. Since they're specialized in defense and methodical sieges, the loss of mobility is often worth it for the extra destruction and protection they get. This also means that they get to use the badass Centurion war suits.
Oh, cool, really?
But despite their affinity
know
for
that.
things of the heavy variety, they still deploy tactical squads and other lighter units in strategic positions to break down enemy fortifications, deftly maneuver, or otherwise support their heavy firing lines. And they don't just conquer worlds like other chapters may. Ever since the Great Crusade, the Fist would be sure to establish mighty fortifications on the worlds they brought into the Imperium.
Hell
They were
yeah.
not content with mere domination, rather, they viewed new worlds as expansions to the bastion that was the Imperium. So, in simple terms, they bring the hurt and the fort. And in
What?
the most modern times, Imperial Fists are dead set on fortifying Imperium Sanctus against the myriad threats of the galaxy, along with reclaiming and establishing fortresses within Imperium Nihilus.
Can we get more of them or more stuff about the Imperial Fists in 40K, please, Games Workshop? As far as I've been aware for like the past year and a half, every single Legion has had something except for the Imperial Fists. Like, what the hell?
But even though they're one of the most formidable chapters, they do have some notable weaknesses. Firstly is a somewhat ironic one considering their loose rivals with the Ultramarines, but the Fist, and especially some of their successors, have been known to adhere to the Codex Astartes too closely. This isn't to say the Fist are wholly inflexible with their tactics, but sometimes their meticulous and stubborn nature gets the best of them. And
So basically, don't fix what isn't broken, and if it is broken, fuck it. I like that.
their other big
why I like the
weakness
Fist,
is their
man.
tenacity and pride. While this can be a strength in some ways, the Fist have been known to fight long after victory was clearly unobtainable. And this
Fuck
somewhat
it, dude.
commonly leads to Fist needlessly dying. And the infamous Iron Cage perfectly illustrated this point, as it was perhaps the Fist's greatest defeats, as it exposed every single one of the Fist's weaknesses. It
Damn,
exposed
really?
their excessive pride, stubbornness, and passion as the Fist needlessly got slaughtered in the Iron Cage in the name of vengeance. Additionally, the whole thing was technically seen as a metaphorical pain glove for the entire Legion to act as penance for failing the Emperor. However,
But if it was the Iron Warriors doing that, then they're kind of bitches, aren't they?
the Fist get around their proclivity for glorious last stands and frequent sacrifices
Which I
by
love
recruiting from a
personally.
ton of worlds. Technically, the Fist homeworld is Terra, which is notable because basically every single other Primarch's homeworld was the one that they landed on. In Dorn's case, that would be the ice world of Inwit. But since the Fist were the defenders of Terra, they got to call good ol' Earth home.
Yay.
But technically, the Fist's true home is Phalanx. And Phalanx isn't a planet, but rather a giant Dark Age technology moon-sized mobile space station that Dorn and the people of Inwit refurbished.
Cool.
Once reunited with the Emperor, Dorn offered this massive ship to his father as a pledge of fealty. But the Emperor declined and declared that Phalanx would forever be Dorn and his son's fortress monastery. It is the most powerful ship in the entire Imperium, and during the heresy, traitor forces would literally have to plan around the massive ship, since challenging the Phalanx would mean certain doom.
Seriously? I didn't know that. That's sick. I'm gonna have to like search up some lore on this thing because this sounds very, very interesting.
The Phalanx is crewed and inhabited by millions of people and is essentially a mini world. It has a vast array of defense systems and even its own defense force called the Auric Auxilia. The Auxilia is
Cool.
also occasionally used to defend Fist-conquered worlds, and beyond its vast offensive capabilities, the home of Mr. Fortifications is of course super heavily fortified. It is
course.
said to be able to take the brunt of a dying star, which is pretty damn insane if true.
Not
It
the
did
Thor
survive the
picture.
entirety of the Horus Heresy and rivaled Abaddon's Blackstone Fortress and Blackfleet during the Fall Acadia, so the legends might just be true. However,
Damn.
just like most things in the setting, the Phalanx has deteriorated since its golden years. No pun
duh.
intended. Its marine crew was greatly reduced with the breaking of the Legion, its systems began to fail with time, and its
Gee,
once
thanks,
gleaming
Gilliman.
halls adorned with odes to past triumphs and memorials of fallen heroes became decrepit, some chambers even being fully closed off. But
Hopefully he explains it, but they don't have any maintenance crews or janitors or something like that. I mean, you know, spit shine it a little bit, you know? I'd do it.
that was before the Primaris, baby! Woo! Let's go,
Oh,
Primaris!
okay.
Yeah! Gilliman woke up and said, "Ew, cringe. Brother, you live like this? Sheesh, who died in here? Let's HGTV this bitch."
Wait, so is this technically Asmongold's 40K ship or something? Is that what I'm getting at here?
That was a jokey joke, by the way. In reality, when Gilliman was resurrected, he ordered the Phalanx to be repaired in honor of his brother and the Emperor, and was actually very respectful. The
Okay,
Adeptus
cool, cool,
Custodes even lent the Fist some tech from the Dark Cells to fully restore the vessel, and once restored, it was truly a sight to
hell
behold,
yeah,
as it was
okay.
once again the bane of those who opposed the Imperium. But speaking of things that deteriorated and were later bolstered by Gilliman, the Fist Legion was famously broken up after the heresy after Dorn almost started a second civil war with.
Which is kind of stupid. I get where Gilliman is coming from. No Legion should have enough forces to overthrow the Imperium ever again, is to prevent it, but come on, man. I mean, so we got like the Imperial Fist, the Eternal Crusade, Black Templars, and I don't really know much about them, Crimson Fists. And it's like, why are they blue? Shouldn't they just be like yellow with like red gloves, or, you know, mix in a little bit of black in honor of their Black Templar brothers or something? It's like, why blue? Seriously. Or maybe it's to honor Gilliman and Ultramarines? I don't know.
Gilliman. Luckily, though, for the Imperium, Dorn recognized how bad of an idea a second civil war
Exactly.
would be after the heresy, and he relented, breaking his legion
Yeah,
into the
it's
Black
fair.
Templars, Crimson Fists, and Imperial Fists. And honestly, these boils are a great trio to represent the Fist as a whole. The Black Templar are the most impassioned, and they take
Yeah.
Dorn's loyalty to the absolute max, seeing the Emperor as an
They're cool,
actual
just not my
god. The
absolute
Crimson
favorite.
Fists are the more tempered idealists who embody the Fist's unbreakable resolve. They fight with honor and protect the people of the Imperium. And finally, the original Imperial Fist are the perfect mix of the two, endlessly fighting for the glory and honor of the Imperium.
Love the Fist.
Also, quick aside, the Codex says that the Crimson Fists are the, quote, most famous Fist successor.
Really?
Yeah, that's cute. But anyways, these three are
Yeah, if that was the case, I'd know more about the Crimson Fist than I do about the Black Templars, and I barely know anything about the Black Templars. I didn't like, seriously, until this video, I didn't even know that the Crimson Fists were even a successor chapter of the Imperial Fist. Like, I thought it was just a coincidence.
honestly the most coherent of successors in my opinion. And thanks to their super stable gene seed, the Imperial Fist have some of the most successor chapters. And they got some real cool ones too, like the Executioners, who were founded by Ultra Chad Fafnir Rand, and the Exorcists, who have one of the coolest, if not the coolest, chapter gimmicks of them all. In addition to their large amount of successors, the Imperial Fist also have a super cool thing called the Last Wall Protocol. The protocol
I
is a
know about
secret
this.
order wherein all of the Sons of Dorn are to reunite into a legion to defend Terra in case of a grave threat. This protocol is secret since it was technically heresy and it was controversial even to some of the Sons of Dorn. But it was enacted during the War of the Beast and not only saved the Fist chapter, as they were killed to a single man and had to be rebuilt from their successors,
Damn.
but was also critical in stopping the Humongo Orc War. But finally, let's talk about their gene seed and recruitment. As mentioned before, their seed is very stable. However, it is missing 2 Space Marine organs, those being the Belcher's gland and the Susan membrane. This means they can't spit acid and they can't self-coma to heal grievous wounds. However, this is somewhat mitigated by the fact that they're kind of masochists to like an insane crazy person degree, and they seek to conquer pain through sheer discipline. Additionally, most fists have a tendency for self-sacrifice and are very prideful, which can again lead them to needless casualties as they almost never retreat for better or for worse. This is actually...
I mean, at the end of the day, if there's no way to actually retreat and like to retreat safely, what's the point in retreating? Just hold down what you got. Hold it down.
Why the Imperial Fist seems so morose. They try very hard to keep their fervor behind a cool and more rational cover so they don't act too brashly. Then some other quirks they have is that they practice scrimshaw and wear the hand bones of fallen brothers as ornaments and honors. However, keep in mind this is very old lore and may not be the case as many things in this novel were decanonized. However, there are models with like hand bones, so I think it's still canon. And
So
another thing is they
speculation.
frequently partake in honor duels to resolve intra-chapter conflicts and sometimes even conflicts with other chapters. Then, as for recruiting, since they are technically fleet-based, they draw recruits from many worlds that they deem the people to be sufficiently hardened. Most notable are Holy Terra, Rogel Dorn's drop site Inwit, and Necromunda, baby! The fact
is
that
this?
so many fists come from the crazy-ass world of Necromunda should be reason enough to believe that these guys are some badass killing machines.
What is this?
And yeah, that's...
I don't know that lore. I think I gotta look that up. But the way he's describing it, it sounds like a very, very cool world.
the Imperial Fist. And to be honest, like I said in the beginning, I didn't give these guys enough credit. I fully bought into the meme of them being humorless, boring guys, and honestly, it's super shallow, but I also don't really like their yellow and red color scheme. The yellow and black looks a lot better in my opinion. But after reading
like the
about
yellow
them a
and black a
lot,
whole
I
lot
realize
more.
that they are far from basic. Sure, they strongly follow the Codex and are jacks of all trades, but like the Ultramarines, they have a lot of interesting quirks about them that makes for an interesting chapter culture. And I never realized how passionate the Imperial Fist and the fact that their ideal is to share the Emperor's vision for humanity, perhaps more so than anyone else in the galaxy, really elevates their lore for me. Plus, their semi-knightly flavor and affinity for big guns is just a cherry on top. And of course, Rogel Dorn himself is just cool as hell. R.I.P. He was a real one.
Dorn.
Oh yeah,
though.
I forgot to mention, Dorn is dead. Torn to shreds by cultists. Or should I say, Dorn to shreds. But, shh.
Really?
But, of all the dead Primarchs, Dorn is the least dead, since every time his deadness is mentioned, they make him less dead. In my opinion, the only way I'd really accept Dorn coming back is if he was just, like, full-on Black Templar, giving into his passion
make a
and
lot more
hatred, and
sense.
was just a murder machine.
But I thought, according to my knowledge, I thought all he had was his hand cut off. I didn't know, like, he quote-unquote died. Unless I didn't... Damn, I got a lot of lore to catch up on, I guess.
Roaming the galaxy. Because let's be real, Dorn and Gilliman together could probably save the Imperium. He was one of Rob's dauntless few after all. Plus, bonus points, the 40k Fist even think that modern Gilliman acts more like Dorn than he acts like his old self. And also, just one last closing thought. On paper, the Imperial Fist are like totally the obvious pick for poster boys, right? They're said to be the closest to the Emperor's ideal space marine. They're a pretty well-rounded legion with a variety of units to choose from, and their homeworld is literally Earth. If they didn't have such a damn hard color scheme to paint, they could have totally been the stars of the show.
This is why I don't paint minis, because I absolutely suck at coloring things. Even in a coloring book, I absolutely cannot do it to save my own life. That's why I just collect Joy Toy action figures. That's it. That's it.
Sigh. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, their chapter master is, Gregor Dessian, who is, some guy.
And don't forget to
head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code KrakDukFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. But anyways,
wonder if
thank you
that,
for watching, and thank you
deal
to all
is
my
still
awesome
available.
patrons. You guys are truly the Praetorians of Krak, and you defend me against the horrors of homelessness and starving on the street. So
True,
thanks.
true.
And as always, be sure to subscribe and consider sharing to all your super headstrong defenders of Terra. Thanks.
Definitely would. I definitely will. Really enjoyed this video. Got another one already in the queue from the same channel, so I think I am gonna drop a subscribe. I want to get more into the lore of other chapters, you know, like Down and Dirty. Yeah, YouTube, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff. Let me know down below what your favorite Loyalist Legion is. And if you're a fellow Imperial Fist fan, feel free to drop a sub. Come check out the Twitch chat. I really appreciate you guys, and let's just keep the ball rolling. Love you. Catch you in the next one. Peace.